হেডমাস্টারের পরীক্ষায় বসবেন, আর কোনো চিন্তা নয়, সাথে থাকুন আমার চ্যানেলে।
So, today I will discuss from section A part 1, and the questions actually comprises from different topics of this section. Question 1. Section 12 of the RTE Act mandates that all unaided schools
shall provide free and compulsory education to at least 5%, B 50%, C 25%, D 30%. Answer. Explanation. The Right to Education, RTE, Act mandates that 25% of seats in unaided private schools must be reserved for children from disadvantaged groups and weaker sections. 2. RTE Act, Section 26, requires that vacancy of teachers in a government school or government-aided school should not exceed 15%, B 10%, 20%, D 25%. Explanation. To ensure quality education, the RTE Act stipulates that teacher vacancies should not exceed 10% at any time. 3. The RTE Act mandates that every school must set up an SMC within how many months of publication of RTE rules by the state? 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, D 8 months. Explanation. School management committees, SMCs, must be established within 6 months to involve parents and community in school management. 4. The SMC should meet at least once a month, B, twice a month, thrice a month, none. Answer, once a month. Explanation. According to guidelines, the SMC must hold meetings at least once a month to discuss the school's functioning and needs. 5. The SMC will prepare a 1-year plan, 2 years plan, 3 years plan, D 4 years plan. Answer, 1-year plan. The School Management Committee is tasked with preparing a 1-year plan outlining the school's developmental goals. 6. Education was brought under the concurrent list through A 41st, B 43rd, 42nd, D 44th. Answer, 42nd Amendment. Explanation. The 42nd Amendment to the Indian Constitution in 1976 moved education from the state list to the concurrent list, allowing both the central and state governments to make laws regarding education. 7. District Primary Education Program was launched in 1991, B 1994, C 1995, D 1996. Answer, 1995. Explanation. The District Primary Education Program, DPP, was initiated in 1995 to improve primary education access and quality, especially in underprivileged areas. 8. RTE Act mandates that every primary school is to be provided with a library, B, games equipment, play materials, all 3. Answer, all 3. Explanation. Under the RTE Act, primary schools must be equipped with basic infrastructure like libraries, games equipment, and play materials to promote holistic development. Classes 1 to V should have MIJ working days per academic year. 150, 200, C150, 300. Answer. Explanation. The RTE Act mandates that classes 1 to V should have a minimum of 200 working days in an academic year to ensure adequate learning time. 10. Classes 6 to the 8 should have full working days per academic year. A, 200, B, 220, C, 250. Explanation. For higher classes, such as VX to VADE, The RTE Act stipulates at least 220 working days per academic year. 11. Classes 6 to 8 should have working hours per academic year. At 40, 42, C 43, D 45. Explanation. The academic workload and study hours for students in classes 6 to 8 must align with these guidelines to balance learning and rest. 12. RMSA encourages centralized, decentralized. C. Common district level planning? None? Answer. Decentralized. Explanation. The Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, RMSA, focuses on decentralization, ensuring that local communities have a greater role in planning and managing secondary education. 13. Who said, education is the manifestation of perfection already in man? Vidyasagar, Aurobindo, Vivekananda? Swami Vivekananda emphasized that education is the process of discovering and manifesting the inherent potential within every person. 14. Vivekananda agreed with the ideas of A. Froebel, B. Dewey, Locke, Plato. Explanation. Swami Vivekananda admired Plato's philosophy, especially the ideas surrounding moral and intellectual development through education. Who said, if you do not allow one to become a lion, he will become a fox? Tagore, Vivekananda, Vidyasagar, Aurobindo. Explanation. This quote by Swami Vivekananda underscores the importance of empowering individuals through education so they can reach their full potential. 16. Which of the following articles of Indian Constitution lays down that education of children between 6 to 14 years is a fundamental right? Article 45A. Article 21A. Article 21D, Article 51A, Article 21A, Explanation. Article 21A of the Indian Constitution, added by the 86th Amendment in 2002, makes free and compulsory education for children aged 6 to 14 a fundamental right. 17. Which of the following articles of Indian Constitution is related to educational provision for weaker sections? Article 45, Article 46, C, Article 21, Article 51, Answer, Article 46, Explanation. Article 46 directs the state to promote the educational and economic interests of the weaker sections of society, especially scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. The number of teachers needed in a primary school is decided based on A, number of students, number of classrooms, infrastructure availability, funds available. Answer, A, number of students. The RTE Act specifies a teacher-student ratio to ensure that an adequate number of teachers are available based on the number of enrolled students in primary schools. 19. A child who has not been admitted to school will be admitted to an age-appropriate class without any screening process. B, after passing an entrance test based on a formal interview after a written exam. Answer, without any screening process. Explanation. The RTE Act prohibits any kind of screening procedure or examination for children seeking admission into age-appropriate classes, ensuring universal access to education. 20. The maximum number of students that a teacher can be assigned for a single class in primary school is A, 30, 35. Explanation. The RTE Act ensures that the pupil-teacher ratio in primary schools is maintained at a maximum of 30 students per teacher for efficient and personalized teaching. 21. Education up to which standard has been made compulsory under the RTE Act? A. Class 5, B. Class 8, C. Class 10, D. Class 12. Explanation. The RTE Act guarantees free and compulsory education for all children between the ages of 6 and 14, which generally corresponds to up to Class 8. 22. The Right to Education RTE Act was passed in which year? 2005, B. 2007, C. 2009. Answer: C. 2009. The Right of Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act, commonly known as the RTE Act, was enacted by the Indian government in 2009. 23. The RTE Act ensures the inclusion of children in unaided private schools. Economically disadvantaged backgrounds. B. Rural areas, urban areas, high-income families. Answer: economically disadvantaged backgrounds. Explanation. The RTE Act mandates that private unaided schools reserve 25% of their seats for children from economically and socially disadvantaged sections of society. 24. The RTE Act specifies a pupil-teacher ratio of 31 for classes: AI to V, V8 to VEIT, Ein to X, all classes. Answer: I to Vation. For classes I to V, the RTE Act mandates a pupil-teacher ratio of 30.1 to ensure that each child receives adequate attention and support in the classroom. Under the RTE Act, no child can be held back in school or expelled until they complete A. Class 5, Class 6, C. Class 7, D. Class 8. Explanation. The RTE Act states that no child shall be held back, expelled, or required to pass any board examinations until the completion of elementary education, up to Class 8. 26. The provision of free textbooks is applicable under the RTE Act for students up to Class 5, B, Class 8, Class 10, D, Class 12. Explanation. As part of the RTE Act, all children up to Class 8 are entitled to free textbooks and learning materials to support their education. 27. Which organization is responsible for monitoring the implementation of the RTE Act? National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, NCPCR, NCERT, C, UGSC. Answer: National Commission for Protection of Child Rights. Explanation. The NCPCR is the body responsible for monitoring the implementation of the RTE Act, ensuring that the rights of children to free and compulsory education are upheld. The RTE Act stipulates that schools must provide to encourage regular attendance of students: free meals, free uniforms, scholarships, free transport, free meals. Explanation. Under the RTE Act, schools are required to provide free midday meals to encourage regular attendance and improve nutritional levels among children. 29. According to the RTE Act, who is responsible for the enrollment of out-of-school children? Parents, local authority, C, school principal, teachers. Answer: local authority. Explanation. The local authorities are responsible for identifying out-of-school children and ensuring their enrollment in age-appropriate classes as mandated by the RTE Act. 30. The RTE Act defines neighborhood schools as schools located within a walking distance of 1 kilometers for primary and 3 kilometers for upper primary, 2 kilometers for primary and 5 kilometers for upper primary, 3 kilometers for primary and 5 kilometers for upper primary. D, 1.5 kilometers for primary and 3 kilometers for upper primary. Answer: 2 kilometers for primary and 5 kilometers for upper primary. Explanation: the RTE Act specifies that primary schools should be within 2 kilometers and upper primary schools within 5 kilometers of a child's residence. 31. What does the RTE Act stipulate regarding physical punishment in schools? A. It is banned. It is allowed with parental consent. It is allowed for disciplinary reasons. It is subject to state laws. Explanation: the RTE Act explicitly prohibits any form of physical punishment or mental harassment in schools to protect the dignity and well-being of children. 32. The RTE Act calls for schools to provide inclusive education for children with disabilities, low-income families, non-Indian origins, gifted students, disabilities. Explanation: the RTE Act emphasizes the need for inclusive education by ensuring that children with disabilities have access to appropriate facilities and resources in schools. 33. The RTE Act mandates that schools should have separate toilets for teachers and students, boys and girls, primary and upper primary students, none. Answer: boys and girls. To promote hygiene and privacy, the RTE Act requires that schools provide separate toilet facilities for boys and girls. 34. According to the RTE Act, private schools must fulfill certain norms and standards within of the Act's implementation. A 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, D, 5 years. Explanation: private schools were given 2 years from the enactment of the RTE Act to comply with the prescribed norms and standards regarding infrastructure, teacher qualifications, and pupil-teacher ratios. 35. The RTE Act emphasizes that teacher appointments should be based on A, merit, caste, C, community, D, political connections. Answer: merit. The RTE to ensure that only qualified and competent individuals are hired for teaching positions in schools. Let me know. Section 36. What is the minimum qualification required for a teacher to be appointed under the RTE Act? A, graduation. Diploma in education. C, B.Ed. As prescribed by answer, as prescribed by explanation. The National Council for Teacher Education, NCTE, sets the minimum qualifications for teachers, ensuring they meet the standards required to teach under the RTE Act. 37. The RTE Act prohibits any form of annual examination, physical punishment, field trips, homework. Explanation: to safeguard children's rights and dignity, the RTE Act bans all forms of physical punishment and mental harassment in schools. 38. Under the RTE Act, teachers are prohibited from engaging in non-teaching tasks unrelated to education, extracurricular activities, remedial teaching, professional development. Answer: non-teaching tasks unrelated to education, Explanation. TE Act specifies that teachers should not be burdened with non-teaching tasks, such as election duty or census work, to allow them to focus on educational activities. 39. The RTE Act makes provisions for A. Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation, CCE, year-end examinations, statewide merit lists, scholarship exams. Continuous and Comprehensive Evaluation. Explanation. The RTE Act promotes continuous and comprehensive evaluation to assess students' performance regularly, focusing on overall development rather than year-end exams. 40. Schools under the RTE Act must prepare a School Development Plan, SDP, every year B, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. Explanation. The School Management Committee, SMC, must prepare an annual school development plan outlining goals and required resources to improve the school's functioning. 41. The RTE Act emphasizes the use of which medium of instruction at the primary level? A. English, Hindi, Mother Tongue, Sanskrit, Mother Tongue. Explanation. The RTE Act stresses the importance of providing primary education in the child's mother tongue to enhance learning and comprehension. 42. The RTE Act requires that children complete elementary education by the age of 12 years, 13 years, 14 years, D, 15 years. Answer, 14 years. Explanation. The RTE Act mandates that children should complete elementary education by the age of 14, ensuring they are educated until at least the end of Class 8. 43. The provision of special training for children admitted at an older age under the RTE Act is to catch up with peers, prepare for exams, meet physical fitness standards, learn vocational skills. Answer, catch up with peers. Explanation. Special training is provided to children who are admitted to age-appropriate classes later than usual to help them catch up with the academic level of their peers. 44. According to the RTE Act, the School Management Committee, SMC, should consist of teachers only, parents only, both teachers and parents, local community members. Answer, both teachers and parents. Explanation. The RTE Act requires the formation of an SMC with members consisting of parents, teachers, and local authorities to manage school affairs effectively. 45. Which group is given special protection under the RTE Act to prevent discrimination? Girls. Scheduled castes and tribes, ST, children with disabilities, all of the above. All of the above. Explanation. The RTE Act provides special protections for girls, children from SC/ST communities, and children with disabilities to prevent discrimination and ensure equal access to education. 46. What percentage of reservation is mandated for children from economically disadvantaged groups in private unaided schools under the RTE Act? A, 15%, B, 20%, 25%. Answer, 25%. Private unaided schools must reserve 25% of their seats for children from economically weaker sections and disadvantaged groups as per the RTE Act. 47. The RTE Act mandates the availability in all schools to ensure a conducive learning environment. Drinking water and sanitation facilities. B, air conditioning. C, computer labs. Gymnasiums. Answer, drinking water and sanitation facilities. Explanation. The RTE Act emphasizes that schools must provide basic amenities like clean drinking water and proper sanitation to create a safe and conducive learning environment. 48. The RTE Act specifies that no child shall be expelled from school, forced to take exams, required to wear a uniform, punished for being late. Answer: expelled from school. Under the RTE Act, no child can be expelled from school until they have completed their elementary education. 49. Which of the following statements is true regarding teachers under the RTE Act? A. They can work on election duty during school hours. They must meet minimum qualifications set by the government. They do not require formal training. They can appoint their assistants. Answer: they must meet minimum qualifications set by the government. Explanation: the RTE Act mandates that teachers must meet the minimum qualifications prescribed by the National Council for Teacher Education, NCTE. 50. The implementation of the RTE Act is monitored at the state level by local governments, state education department, school principals, national government only. Answer: state education department. The implementation and monitoring of the RTE Act are primarily the responsibility of the state education departments, although the central government plays a role in setting standards.